Tata Motors Limited, Commercial Vehicles. A dynamic professional with 30 years of rich and insightful experience in supply chain optimization, business development, global sourcing, vendor management and distribution. Track record in building relationships within the organization, an effective communicator coupled with the exceptional relationship management skills with ability to relate to people at any level of business and management, possesses leadership qualities as well. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Vispute on the stage.
Hi, good evening all. शायद वो किसी और के बारे में बोल रही थी. Yeah, I was little bit आदत नहीं ना ऐसा कुछ सुनने की, at least in industry like us. Thanks Metro for giving the insight. हमको तो सिर्फ वो ग्लॉसी वर्ल्ड दिखता है जब विवियाना मॉल में हम जाते हैं या कहीं मॉल में जाते हैं, तो जो दिखता है आगे, behind that it's a great efforts and methodical working people are there. So it was a great insight for that. And very strategically, I think UBS Forum has pushed me before the tea and coffee. So my topic is also related to strategy. I'll be talking about the strategic inventory planning. And what is this strategy for the inventory? First of all, why we need to have an inventory of anything? Supplier से बना के ले लो, गाड़ी roll out करके बेच देंगे next day. Why we should keep the inventory? So since morning we are looking at different ways of manufacturing processes and what are different stages of keeping the inventory, at what levels and stages in the manufacturing setup. So here it is, it's a raw material inventory, then work in progress, that is WIP inventory, and the last is the finished goods. So at this every stage we need to maintain the inventory so that the continuous flow of the business must go on. So first is raw material inventory, where the highest lead time is required and your sources are not in your vendor hub near to your manufacturing setup. Like Tata Steel will be, I cannot have Tata Steel manufacturing next to my Pune plant or Dharwad plant or Lucknow plant. It has to be there where it is now. So similar thing is for different raw material, even for the proprietary vendors, like I think anybody there from Bosch, Lucas or some proprietary Subros, nobody is there. So they have got their global plans and their setups are there. So we cannot change those things or the distances between two different manufacturers. So accordingly we need to have a strategic inventory at each stage of each product. So and what should be the strategy for each type of product and commodity, accordingly we need to take a call. So basically these are the distances, the value proposition for that, and how much and when and at what cost you want to keep that inventory. Those are the strategy we need to build upon for the strategic inventory. So this is what I at least learned up to 2017-18. After that, suddenly with this pandemic, all these things and the definition of strategy word itself changed. The strategic inventory after 2018-19 is basically how to maintain the uninterrupted supply to make our final product ready for the end customer. You may be in any field or any commodity. The first most and critical and crucial side is the medical, the way we were looking at the oxygen plants. It was a havoc for that. Then that was one injection, they call it as, what is that? Remdesivir. Yeah, even I can't pronounce that. But it has to be made available in the hospital. So what is the strategy for each thing? So even myself as an automobile engineer and purchase supply chain thought process, I was thinking, what is that strategy for the inventory actually? Is it economical or that L1, L2 or vendor and what should be the price? Not at all. The first thing for the strategy is the survival of the business. अगर वो 2 पैसा ज़्यादा देके या $2 ज़्यादा देके अगर आपको इन्वेंट्री रखना है, यू हैव टू ओपन अ hub in Dubai or maybe Saudi Arabia or maybe in Johannesburg or maybe in Singapore, but you have to keep that material. So that is the strategy for each and every commodity. You need to take a call. So that is the strategic inventory, and now I will be getting you into the very specific related to automobile industry, where we started with BS2, then BS3, we call it as in India BS1, BS2, BS3, BS4. It's like Euro 1, Euro 2, Euro 3. So up to 2018, we used to manufacture vehicles of BS3 and BS4, those nomenclatures. And now suddenly we have moved to BS6 category. तो BS4 तक का जितना भी vehicles अभी चल रहा है इंडिया में, those all are now no more in production in our automotive industry. But me as a spare part supplier to our end customers, you people are also using the commercial vehicles of Tata Motors. Those vendors have stopped manufacturing those spare parts because vehicles are not in production for that. So we made next 5 years plan for those spare parts components which they have stopped manufacturing for making the vehicles. This is a new concept came, and internally we got some Innovista award for that concept. We started a new slot for inventory valuation through finance approvals for keeping the strategic inventory, not for making the vehicles, but to service the end customer of Tata Motors जिसने 2 साल पहले 4 साल पहले टाटा का ट्रक खरीदा है. That is where this strategic inventory term came into picture, and actual realistic way we have started maintaining crores of rupees of inventory for only spare parts I'm talking about. That's why I requested this UBS forum to have at least 15 minutes, 10 minutes discussion on this, and I would love to have an interactive session on this. If something similar you people have also came across for non-moving or non-current, or he was talking about some design, what is that, development and kill. So yeah, launch and kill. So here it's not in my hand, but I have to take care of my customers for next 10 years legally in Tata Motors, this India, and for international customers for 15 years. अब जाके पता चल रहा है उसमें से I will not disclose the number of vendors and the figures percentage, that is just immaterial, but हम कहीं जाके देखते तो सप्लायर बंद हो चुका है और गाड़ी तो चल रही है और मुझे अभी तो स्पेयर पार्ट चाहिए. So up to 3D printers, the new technology of making the components, 3D printing, the plastic components we already started manufacturing for contingency plan because it's too costly yet. And also for the metallic products, now we are developing 2 sources in Pune to make the spare parts through that 3D printing technology. Cost is immaterial because the customers are already there and we need to make those vehicles on road if there is some problem on that. So that is the strategic inventory concept. Now one more thing what we learned during last 2 years is what to unlearn basically. One more thing, the word was a robust. बचपन से हम सुनते थे साला सिस्टम ऐसा बनाएंगे ना रोबस्ट होना चाहिए. नो, लास्ट 2 साल में मैं तो छोड़ दिया उसको. रोबस्ट इज अ वर्ड एक्चुअली is very nearer to rigid for me actually in today's scenario. So anything robust, अगर मैं किसी सप्लायर को बोलता है 2 करोड़ का आप प्लांट लगा दो मुझे 10 साल के लिए कंपोनेंट लगेगा, no, not at all, because I don't know after 2-3 years what will happen to that design, that fashion, that technology or that requirement or application, that will vanish. तो जो 2 करोड़ या 10 करोड़ का इन्वेंट्री जो भी प्रोडक्ट लगा के वहाँ पे मशीनरी लगाएगा, मेरे पास नहीं है 10 साल का गारंटी उसका बिजनेस कंटिन्यूटी का. सो दैट रोबस्ट जो कंसेप्ट है, दैट टाइम पीरियड इज नाउ स्क्वीजिंग डाउन टू 2 to 3 years. एंड कमिंग टू वेरी रियलिस्टिक पिक्चर ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स, द एक्चुअल द रियल एग्जाम्पल आई विल गिव. द फर्स्ट हियर इन BKC, you must have seen those made in India or make in India buses. Some 25 buses are running in BKC in Bombay. Those are hybrid buses, 50 per electric and mechanical drive is there, hybrid buses. तो उसके ऊपर बैटरी सेल्स है. जब ये बसेस बना के लॉन्च किया, सब हो गया गवर्नमेंट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र वगैरह, आफ्टर 3 months we placed order for battery cells as a backup spare parts proactively. Vendor declared it is production stopped. That design is already out of market. Within 18 months of that design manufactured by Tata Motors and that international combinations, that design vanished. There is no battery available for that. Now again we developed with another source and customized those with another design which can be competitive enough with the new design and old design with some modifications. And now that I am keeping that inventory for me, some 2.5 crores of worth investment for that. So these are the learning for coming out of this robust design or robust supply chain to a flexible supply chain. And this all manufacturing is done through soft tooling. Means I am not giving them some 15 crores or 20 crores of investment for that, because again it will be a waste. Because again after 3 years there will be some compact design of battery cell coming. So many things are changing in life. So that is the new way, normal way of looking at the supply chain and the strategy for making the inventory available for us. Coming to this, from robust to getting into the flexible way of doing. So flexibility is one thing. Flexibility I can have not only from the vendor perspective but for the product development flexibility. Just to share with you all, I am also, like we were talking about the this planner, correct? What was that planner? What is the role of demand planner? I am part of sourcing council of Tata Motors Automotive. Even though I am in the aftermarket business for spare parts, but I am being invited in the meeting where they are discussing about 2.5 years आगे वाला जो design product चल रहा है R&D के साथ. I am participating there and I have a voice there as a spare part representative. कि ये supplier है, उसके साथ 10 साल आगे क्या plan होगा या design में क्या है, what are the inputs वगैरह वगैरह. So that is what we are getting into. Basically the voice of the material planner should be there in the organization. So we capture those input for the product development of future and getting into flexibility for that. We are having a sign off with vendors कि भाई साहब आज तो हम sign कर लेंगे, ये गाड़ी बनाए ये करे, but after launch of the vehicle, are you there for 10 years minimum with us for aftermarket requirement? So that is the flexibility we must have when we are developing the product. So that will ease out my strategic inventory maintaining with us, because that will be hand holding for next 10 years. Similar is the manufacturing flexibility that you people are expert in manufacturing, so I will not take more time on that. Then sourcing flexibility is again coming to that L1, L2, L3 or locations. I prefer Chinese product because they are fast and cheaper available. This was the scenario pre-pandemic, but now everything is changed. So we have started developing alternate sources, not only in India but anywhere on this earth, so that our line should not stop and our product should be always on the roads. So that sourcing flexibility is there. Here again the cost factor doesn't make any difference, because luckily I have got a liberty for that, because my job is to support the vehicle sales as a spare part. So that is the flexibility with me actually. So I don't it doesn't mean that I don't care for the pricing, but the second choice is that. The first choice is availability for that. So that sourcing flexibility we always get into that. Then logistic flexibility, everybody talks about that, transportation and everything. Then information system flexibility, like from euro to dollar and from dollar to ruble and ruble to Indian rupees, or that combination in system should be available, and changing the vendor codes, changing the locations. So that's different systems we are also using, and accordingly that flexibility should be there. Now coming to this inventory, एक simple logic होता है कि अरे यार ये vendor बंद होने वाला, आप 10 साल का माल यहाँ पे भर के रख दो. But that is again that will give the redundancy or the obsolescence, high risk of obsolescence will go up. And how many? Because we are dealing with almost 1.92 lakhs worth different SKUs. And with BS6, again some 20,000 new animals we have added in our menu card. And with electric vehicles, again there will be so many, I don't know. So many varieties are there, and every week, every year we are introducing new models. So that risk of obsolescence is also very high for this. With all these, in the morning also we discuss about the systems, and all people, experts are sitting here, how to take those predictive analysis for 10 years and 5 years and 20 years for this. So similar thing we are also using for our planning model for कि 5 साल में आगे क्या हो सकता है. जैसे कि we know the filter is the most replacing parts, maybe some 20,000, 80,000 or 18,000 kilometers depending on different version. The replacement is happening. So we know कि system को पता है इसका already 20 lakhs vehicles that filter was fitted. So system is giving me the output for the next 10 years. This will be the requirement. Accordingly, we are planning that. So that is one more input through automation what we are doing in the strategic inventory. That's it from my side. If anybody has got any doubt or something, one more one announcement here on UBS forum. The best question will get the gift hamper from UBS forum. Yeah. उनको थोड़ा टेंशन आ गया.
Yeah, Kailas.
गिफ्ट का नाम सुन के खड़ा हो गया.
Hello.
Just on a lighter note, sir. I'm heading car supply chain for Fiat India Automobiles Limited. We manufacture for Tata. It's a Tata and Stellantis JV. We manufacture Nexon and Jeep Compass. Thanks for giving a very good car also, and very insightful presentation and very practical. I can relate myself in current scenario. My question is, sir, how you manage phase out case inventory, because it's very difficult, like Indica, Manza, which has been phased out, or any product which is getting phased out. It's not so simple to predict the 10 years inventory or 5 years down the line inventory.
Yeah.
And simultaneously you need to ensure my customer should get the parts whenever. So I can understand that. And how you decide that strategy means number of components will be stored. Maybe sure you should have some strategy, and there will be some risk of obsolescence, sure. So, and the semiconductor crisis which is going on, how you decide your storage or inventory strategy on those two topics. That is my question.
Okay. I think you have taken this announcement very seriously. The best question will get the award. No, just coming to the basics. Strategic inventory, I missed one point. Thanks for touching upon that. Is a end of product. Like Bosch globally, I have studied their global system some 4 years before, because I know कि कहाँ से हम जाने वाले हैं. So they have got a very fantastic system in Bosch global system. Suppose there is one component being consumed by Kailas Vispute in India for जो Bosch से आया है, and it is manufactured somewhere in suppose Hungary. Hungary के फैक्ट्री का वो जो component manufacturing plan है, they are not supposed to discard those toolings unless and until Kailas Vispute gives in writing to Bosch India. तब तक वो फैक्ट्री का टूल्स डिस्कार्ड नहीं होगा. सो दैट्स द एंड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट और एंड ऑफ सीरीज डिसीजन मेकिंग इन बॉश. तो लास्ट एंड तक जहाँ पे वो कंज्यूम हुआ है प्रोडक्ट, कस्टमर एंड तक जाके वो साइन ऑफ नहीं होता है. दे प्रिजर्व दैट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप फॉर बॉश. बट फॉर आवर केस वी ट्राई टू एटलीस्ट cover up this legally and with better understanding with all major 80% of suppliers for 10 to 15 years of availability. For some of the cases it happens that it is totally unviable to maintain that assembly line only for the aftermarket requirement. Suppose daily we were producing suppose 500 Manza. Now come to the, I am not from passenger division, but Manza was a Tata product and we stopped. I think we are not manufacturing that. So मांझा का जो assembly line है, we cannot preserve that for next 15 years or 10 years only to make some aggregates out of that, maybe gearbox or some axle. It is not possible because they have to convert that for something, maybe Tata Punch or some Tata Safari or some new product. So in that case, we come to this joint understanding of manufacturer, then R&D people, then my sales and service people, mainly the customer care department, and the spare part people, and of course the finance people, and we arrive at a consensus कि total मांझा बनी कितनी है, लास्ट 10 साल में जो गाड़ियाँ बनी है उसमें से ऑन रोड कितनी हो सकती है, एंड व्हाट इज द रिप्लेसमेंट साइकिल ऑफ दोज कंपोनेंट, and what should be the next 3 to 5 years of likely consumption or sale in Indian market for that component. Let us make that, produce it and keep as a strategic inventory. So that is a basic framework of EOP, we call it as the end of product series. This is how globally happening, and we are trying to do that. In some of the cases the product is perishable, like oil seal or some rubber hose or some belts. So we cannot keep belt manufactured and 10 years मेरे warehouse में नहीं रख सकते because वो 3 साल में खराब हो जाएगा. So उसके लिए then we go for another vendor development, and there every 2 years or 3 years we take in a small batches as per the consumption pattern. So these are the two different scenario we are trying to maintain those stocks with us. I hope you got the answer. Thank you.
Yeah, Kailas.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Vispute, very nice interacting with you. My name is Harshal. I am from Godrej Appliances. I am taking care of aftermarket requirement of spare parts. So, so a small query or small question I wanted to ask you, like the concept of strategic inventory that you have mentioned in your presentation. So is it something which was has come up from Tata Motors initially, or there was some kind of benchmarking which was done, or is it a kind of an industry practice where business are dealing into a long-term warranty obligations for spare parts? So that is what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, as an automobile industry, you rightly said that it's a legal obligations, not for Tata Motors or India. It's a global scenario. Everybody does that. You take Ford or Mercedes or anybody, Rolls Royce, they have to. Even in aeroplane industry, they are maintaining that, and in fact they are airlifting the components on their own cost and giving to maybe Indonesia or any location wherever the aeroplane is standing. They rush part even after 7 years or 10 years, whatever their time tenure is. Similar thing is here. So it's not a new terminology or something, but the percentage of that strategic inventory requirement has increased because of this BS4. Up to BS4 everything is phased out. अब पहले जो होता था कि वो 709 407 गाड़ी जो हम बनाते थे उसमें से एक आधा मॉडल बंद हो गया तो उसका एक 10-15 लाख का मैंने मटेरियल रख दिया तो दैट इज ओके. बट अभी हुआ है कि 60% ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट लाइन जो हम बनाते थे पहले इट इज डिस्कार्डेड. So for that I need to take care of that. So my 40% of spare part business which is happening today, those are not in production in my plant. So that ratio has shifted. So we have now focused on that inventory. That's the logic. And it's nothing new for Tata Motors also. We are doing it for defense or some institutional sales earlier also. Defense का मेरे पास even मालावी आर्मी एंड अफ्रीकन सो मेनी कंट्रीज. जब मैं कॉलेज में था तो वो ज़माने से टाटा वहाँ पे अफ्रीका में गाड़ी बेचता है. दोज कंपोनेंट्स आर स्टिल अवेलेबल विथ अस एंड दोज वेंडर्स वी आर स्टिल रिटेन्ड. इवन इन इंडियन आर्मी देर इज़ वन ऑयल बाथ फिल्टर. अभी जो हम नया फिल्टर्स वगैरह दिखते हैं ना, पुराने ज़माने एक अलग टेक्नोलॉजी था. ऑयल बाथ मतलब ऑयल के बाथ में फिल्टर रखता था, उसमें से वो फिल्ट्रेशन शुरू होता था. दैट सप्लायर इज स्टिल वी आर केप्ट अलाइव इन सातारा. सो the concept is there. Only thing now it is officially taken because the volume has gone up in non-current category.
Right. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, Kailas sir.
Yeah.
I'm Pramod Mishra from USN Logistics in India. Actually, you explained the very inside about the spare parts. I want to understand the JIT system is applicable in the assembly line. So how it is going to support to the inventory strategy? Number two, the inventory you are going to control. So how effective through non-moving item you are going to control the inventory?
You're talking about the actual line feeding, or you're talking about the aftermarket?
No, actual line feeding, because a lot of plant they are using the JIT system. They are not carrying the inventory over there. Just in time they are supplying and assemble the vehicle. So how it is going to control the inventory in the market?
इसी चक्कर में मैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेटअप से बाहर निकला. सिर्फ 3.5 साल था मैं फैक्ट्री में, उसके बाद मैं आफ्टर मार्केट में आ गया. No, I will try to just give the answer. See, there everything is live because they are manufacturing the vehicle, and just in time वो 2 किलोमीटर पे फैक्ट्री है पिंपरी चिंचवड़ के नज़दीक में, and they are just feeding the line and they are manufacturing the vehicles. So वहाँ पे नॉन मूविंग का कोई सवाल नहीं आता है ना?
No. My concern is because in assembly line, they keeping all the material in assembly line, right?
Correct.
And feeding and assemble the vehicles.
Yes.
Number one question. Number two, in stores, lot of materials are non-moving. So how you categorize the non-moving item? Because all have a lot of material have a shelf life, and you categorize non-moving, you are going to sell out, or how you are going to control? The two questions are there.
So this JIT is clear. There is no non-moving.
Yeah.
So coming to the non-moving, actually, on an average, generally अगर 3 business cycles में अगर कुछ movement नहीं होता है, then we terminate that as a non-moving inventory. 3 business cycles, 3 financial years में अगर कुछ transaction नहीं हुआ है, then that SKU moves into that slow moving and non-moving category, and then after 5 years or so it will be out.
Okay.
But this was a traditional way of looking at the non-moving inventory. Ma'am, hope 2 minutes okay, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise they will find me. So like वो IPL में होता है ना, टाइम ज़्यादा लिया तो कुछ होता है ना वैसा.
Sir, one question.
Just a minute for him, sorry. So for this non-moving, that also we are challenged now. That policy itself. The policy says 3 years now moving, you can scrap it.
No, because your cash flow is holding through non-moving item.
Yeah.
Lot of cash flow is holding because due to this decision, lot of policy has implemented in all the automobile company. You are going to remove the non-moving item some stipulated time.
Yeah, we are moving that. We are offering on schemes wherever it is consumable, it goes out, and which is really non-moving, nobody wants it, then it goes for gas cutting and scrapping. But there also we are finding now as a gold mine, because what I am saying now, this end of product and all those vendors are closing. We are picking those material and keeping as a gold mine with us as aftermarket. क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि those vehicles, वो जो नॉन मूविंग प्लांट में है उसका अगर 47,000 व्हीकल्स रोल आउट हुआ था और अभी और 10 साल आगे लगने वाला है, तो वी मेंटेन, वी एक्चुअली लिफ्ट दैट मटेरियल एंड कीप इन आफ्टर मार्केट फॉर अस इंस्टेड ऑफ स्क्रैपिंग इट, बिकॉज वो वेंडर्स आर नो मोर अवेलेबल एक्चुअली.
दिस इज द आई थिंक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पॉलिसी, राइट?
So we are doing that. For aftermarket we are utilizing that material.
Okay, thank you.
That is salvaging action actually. Instead of scrapping it, we salvage and utilize for aftermarket requirement. Yes, sir.
So good afternoon. Very insightful presentation on spares. And today we also learned from the presentation of Mr. Anirudh today morning about how Mahindra manages spares. So one of the, I come from Borosil and we have launched appliances a few years back, and we are coming to grips with how to manage spares. Now, would AI and ML forecasting models, spares being a dependent demand, it is not independent demand, how effective they will be, they are working in your experience? And would parameters like mean time between failure and engineering reliability parameters, how do you use these parameters to do your own modeling?
Yeah, good question. Even I am also trying to crystallize the strong design system for that, because every month we are launching BS6 new models. So many new models are coming. The basic current system is very simple. We have got our customer care department, we have got our R&D, and we have got our manufacturing setup, and we know what is the actual consumption happening of spare parts. So we put all together the concept for each SKU, what is the transaction happened for last 3 months, 6 months, or what is the most likely failure pattern if at all there, with the similar product for earlier manufactured vehicles. That data is captured, and in our R&D, when that bill of material is made, out of that they will just have some auto tick in the system. Suppose total 3 lakhs components are there to make one truck. Out of that, some 300 or 400 part numbers के सामने कुछ tick रहेगा. So when we go and filter out that BOM, I get my list. These are the 300 probable parts I should keep proactively with our dealer distributor before launching any vehicle. So that is how it starts. And then after 3, 4, 5 months, if hardly 20 parts are moving out of that, वो 20 लेके हम आगे निकल जाते हैं in after market. Remaining thing is a strategic inventory, or it may go back to plant, or it can be used for next 10 years or so, because that quantity is hardly 5 or 10 pieces. So once those pop-up starts, then automatically that system will pick up the inventory norms and that movement will start.
So you'll use real-time data to fine-tune the models as you
Yeah,
go.
plus all our service engineers, they are also giving us as a recommended stocking list. Before any launch of new vehicle, that recommended stocking list is my starting point for that.
Thank you, sir.
And risk is very minimal, because I keep hardly 1 or 2 pieces of each component. And the moment it starts moving, those components will be automatically picked up for the spare part business.
Just a follow-on question.
Yeah.
Like
If
we
you
have.
don't mind, sir, can we take this offline, rest of the conversation?
Last one.
All right.
Let him complete.
Just a follow-up question. For finished goods, we have days of inventory. Typically, that is the metric we use.
Correct.
So for spare parts, what would be an equivalent metric?
Yeah, it's very simple. My target is, suppose 20 days of inventory means, suppose I am selling, yeah, maybe my wife, sorry, my per day sale is suppose 20 crores spare parts. So I have to keep maximum 20 days of inventory. So 20 crore into 20. So 400 crore का मेरा target है. 400 से ऊपर inventory मेरे warehouses में नहीं होना चाहिए. That's the thumb rule. One more logic is वो inventory control वाला, but it is not part of discussion. Otherwise, I can talk, and we can also join for happy hours also after this.
Thank you, sir.
So not to take everybody's time. Thank you all, and offline we can discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kailas sir.